What is up, and welcome back to another episode of Blood and Beer, the show where we talk blood sport and we drink beer. I'm your host, Matt, and as always, we got some MMA to talk. We're recapping UFC 313. What a shit show that was. Production, everything. We'll get into that in just a second. We're recapping the whole card. There were some good moments on it. UFC had a tough night at the office with the outcome, with the results that they got. There's production issues. There's issues buying the pay-per-view. It was a mess. And then the final outcome, Ankalaev, new champion. How disappointing. Unmarketable. We'll talk about it all in just a moment. Beer we're sipping on today. Michelob Ultra. And as I said, we're going to be talking the card. And then we're also going to look ahead at what's next for these UFC 313 fighters. What fights we have coming up on the horizon, and talk about where the UFC's at right now, what problem we're having with making these stars, and then the guys that are not stars that just have the sport's been gamified, and I'm not liking it. We're going to get into it all. Okay. So Ankalaev, new light heavyweight champion. I'm sorry I sound down. This is really bleak for the UFC right now. I mean, Perreira was their golden goose. He was the golden boy. And now the light heavyweight division is almost dead if Perreira decides he doesn't want to stay there for a rematch. And I don't know that he does because Ankalaev is just such a dull fight. The fight itself should have probably gone to Perreira. I had it scored Perreira. After watching it back again, I scored it for Perreira 3-2. But Sal Diamato is a terrible judge. He gave it 4-1 Ankalaev. Somehow gave Ank that fifth round. The other two judges had it 3-2 for Ankalaev. And I see how you could get to that, but they gave the third round to Ank, and he got outstruck. I thought Perreira did more. Both of them had their moments. Perreira mangled his legs as I said he would, but yeah, just a dull fight and a dull outcome. And what Ankalaev does is so, I hate it. It's the Bilal method. It's the Merab method. It's the, I'm going to do a little bit of offense, and then I'm going to just stifle your offense and waste time so you can't do anything. And I'm pressuring you, so it looks like I'm doing something. It looks like I'm shooting a takedown, but really it's a half takedown to hold you in place so you can't hit me, so you can't escape, so you can't make a scramble, so there's no dangerous positions for these fighters at all, hardly. I'll give it to him. He stood and struck with Perreira. Perreira seemed a little off tonight. But still, when they go for these takedowns, when they get in this clinch, Goddard had to break him up. It's not fighting. It's not a fight the way these guys are doing it. They've gamified it. So they're not taking risks. They're not going out there and swinging. They're not shooting the takedown and going for it with everything, which I get it. There's strategy to it. You got to have strategy. But when you take away the entertainment completely, that's a problem. That's where I have a problem. And that's where I have a problem with these fighting styles because they're not entertaining. They're not fan-friendly. How do you expect fans to want to spend money on an Ankalaev fight? You don't. Bilal Muhammad's fighting Jack Della Maddalena. They better hope Della Maddalena takes it because these champs are getting boring that we have in the UFC right now. I'm not digging it. I'm not digging where we're at, and my computer came unplugged. Hold up. But I am not digging it one bit. Not one. Ugh. Went down the wrong pipe. I'm having a rough time talking this episode. Just tough getting it out. So, yeah, UFC in shambles with their champions right now. They're all going to Russia, and there's some fun fighters out of Russia. You look at a guy like Said Nurmagomedov coming off a loss. He fights fun. You look at Vadim Nemkov over in PFL. He's a pretty entertaining fighter. Alexander Volkov. But then these guys that have that Dagestani style of wrestling, or that aren't as dominant as the Khabib and Islam, but they want to implement that style, so instead they like half-ass it to just stall time, and that's not what Khabib and that's not what Islam do. That's not what the Umars do. They push the action. I want to see action when you're going for a takedown. I want to see you trying to do damage. These guys aren't trying to cause any damage. Anyways, I'm done ranting about Ankalaev. 5 minutes. it's just we need Perreira to win that, or the light heavyweight division is looking bleak. But other than that, we had some good fights on the card. We had Gaethje versus Fiziev too. It was an awesome fight. They won fight of the night. Fiziev came out a little different. He was shooting takedowns round one, and he got 2 in the first 90 seconds. He was looking good. He took round 1 real easy. In round 2, Gaethje drops Fiziev with an uppercut. He's beating him up pretty bad. He's working him. He stopped throwing the kicks. It's working. He gets round 2. Round 3, Fiziev comes out with just a barrage of body shots and combinations with his punches. So fast. But he starts to gas towards the end of the third round, and Gaethje, it's all him for the second half of that round. He gets the unanimous decision win. It was close as hell, just like the first fight. It was almost a carbon copy of the first fight, except in the first round of the first fight, Fiziev was out striking Gaethje. This time he was out wrestling him. Good fight, though. I don't know what's next for Gaethje. You could, in theory, give him a title shot just because it's a new guy for Islam, and you're punishing Sarukian now. You say he needs another fight. You could give it to Oliveira, but Oliveira's already fought him. Ilia Topuria, they could do that, but again, I think they're kind of punishing him for vacating his belt a little bit. They want him to fight one more time, so I don't know what's next for Gaethje. I want to see him do fun fights. I just want to see him do whoa, that was an awesome fight. So after they're saying that the next fight for Poirier, his retirement fight's Max. Gaethje doesn't fight very much. I want to see Gaethje and Max rematch. Fun fight. Why the hell not? Especially now that Topuria is at 155, it kind of takes Max out of that title picture because he's going to have to get past Topuria. And then goodness, this is some burpy beers. Ignacio Bahamondes, he gets a triangle choke finish over Jalen Turner in round 1. Jalen Turner retires after this. I didn't see this coming from Nacho. I thought this was going to be a 15-minute striking fest. And Bahamondes, he actually goes to his back about halfway through the first round and just pulls off a triangle, taps him out. So Jalen Turner retires at 29. He was on a 5-fight finish streak at one point in the UFC. He's 1-4 in his last 5, so he's kind of fallen off. But he was a super fun fighter. I don't know if this is going to be a short-lived retirement because we do see that a lot in MMA. And this is a guy that would do great at 170, I think, if he moved up to the next weight class. But we'll just have to wait and see. And then we're really going to get into this one. Amanda Lemos gets a unanimous decision win over Yasmin Lucinda, and that's all there is to say about it. She just sat on top of her for 15 minutes. Not a good fight. But God bless the fighting nerds. If there's one thing that might save the UFC from these boring champions, it's the fighting nerds. So we have Mauricio Ruffy, member of the fighting nerds. He goes out there, gets a first-round knockout of King Green. Spinning back kick, spinning wheel kick, straight to the temple, puts him to sleep, falls flat on his face. Sick knockout of the year without a doubt. And this dude he's smooth as hell. I don't like to compare people to other fighters, but he really does fight like Conor McGregor used to in that karate style, bouncing in and out, picking his shots real accurate, very explosive, and just super light on his feet. So Mauricio Ruffy's looking good, and what I was saying, these guys might be the ones to save us from these boring champions because these guys fight. They're always going at it. Their striking is enough to combat your wrestling. They have great takedown defense. And a lot of them are really good on the ground. Jean Silva, we haven't even seen get taken down, I don't believe. You got Caio Borralho. He's a beast on the ground. Carlos Prates, he's not getting taken down. All these guys have such a good center of gravity. They just stop the takedowns. I think that they have a really good anti-wrestling game, and that might be what you need to beat this Russian wave that we're seeing. And not the Russian wave that we saw with the Khabibs and the Islam, but the boring Russian wave of the holding, the killing time. It's just not an entertaining style. It's terrible. But the nerds aren't, and the nerds might be the one to do it. The guys in the core group, the core 4, they're undefeated since last year. We got Ruffy at 3-0. We got Jean Silva at 3-0 or 4-0. We got Caio Borralho 4 or 5-0. We got Carlos Prates 4 or 5-0, and he's got a fight coming up next weekend next pay-per-view against Jeff Neal, looking to make it 6-0. Jean Silva's fighting Bryce Mitchell on that card. These guys are moving up fast. They all have a shot at taking the title in any weight class. So I can't wait. You got 145, 155, 170, and 180. Yeah, and 185. So you got 4 divisions in a row that these guys have been pretty dominant in. They're the next step up. I could see 2, maybe 3 fighting their champions by the end of 2026. They might not all be the champion at the same time, but they will have. I think 3 of the 4 of them could hold the belt. Praches, he's a nasty striker. He's getting fast tracked. Jean Silva is just a killer. Mauricio Ruffy seems to just have that X factor, and then Kyle Brahalia is just well-rounded as hell. He's got a gas tank. They're fun. Love the fighting nerds. Hate what we're seeing at the championship level right now. And then on the prelims, we had Joshua Van. He gets a unanimous decision win over Ray Tura. Tura was just shooting takedowns the whole time. Joshua Van was striking, trying to make it entertaining, but it just really wasn't. Bruno Ferreira gets an armbar in round 2 over Armin Petrosian. Petrosian kicked him in the dick twice in the first round, gets a point taken, and then Bruno Ferreira goes out there and takes the arm from him. Myron Santos gets a very controversial decision over Francis Marshall. Not a whole lot to say there. And then Ozzy Diaz gets a decision over Jordan Santos in the curtain jerker, and we skipped over one. Carlos Leal, he smokes Alex Moreno, who came in looking way out of shape, smokes him in round 1 with a TKO. Landed like 80 strikes in that first round. Very forgettable night for UFC altogether, though. This card gets like a D+, and we're actually going to give it an F because you couldn't buy the fucking pay-per-view. You could not buy that darn pay-per-view. So, something going on with ESPN. I was trying all night to buy it, even if it was just for the last card because I could have watched it back. But couldn't buy it, couldn't spend money. So the UFC, they did make it right. They made it free, but nobody was able to watch it in real time. You couldn't even get a stream up because the streamers, people running the streams, they couldn't get it because everybody had to go to them, so their servers were overloaded. It was a mess. Just absolute nightmare night for the UFC. But positives, they put it on UFC, or they put it on ESPN Plus for free, and we're past the card. We can just forget about it. It was a disaster night for the UFC. So what I'm going to be doing, because I'm so frustrated with these champions that are just boring fighters that are not trying to fight, they're trying to play a game, I'm going to be following regional MMA much more. We're going to be looking at Cage Warriors. We're going to look at Cage Fury. We're going to be looking at, who the hell knows? Fusion FC maybe. They're happening on Thursday. So we got 2 Cage Warriors fight cards this weekend. We got Cage Fury on Friday. We got Fusion FC on Thursday. We're going to check them all out. I'm going to try to get an episode out for this past weekend. Cage Warriors 183 in Rome. I saw the first half. I got to finish catching up on that, but we're going to be following this. I'm going to start trying to cover some regional MMA. Might hang on to Cage Warriors. Might find someone else I like. I just want to see some donkey fights, some people getting knocked out, some people fighting a fight, people just going at it. Might not be the most skilled, but that's what we're looking for. So I'm going to be finding some gems for you and letting you know about them. We're going to be covering some regional MMA. And rough days ahead for MMA if we can't get these boring fighters out. Maybe a rule change is in effect. We start docking points for stalling. We start being a lot more, cracking down a lot more with what we consider stalling, holding against the cage and pretending to grab the leg and then go into the leg body lock over and over again. You're not going for a takedown. You gotta show me something or break it a lot quicker. I don't know. We need to implement more action when these guys are doing everything they can to prevent any action, any damage for them or the other guy. Neither guy in any of the fighter in the Marab fights, nobody walks out of there with a ton of damage. In Belal fights, nobody walks out with a ton of damage. Magomed Ankalaev, he puts some more damage on people, but still not a ton. I mean, you look at a Rakic who he beat, not a ton of damage. I mean, these guys just aren't going for it. They're not going for entertainment. They're not going for the finish. They just don't have it in them. So they make it a game. They're better than they're better than you, they're better than everybody else, but let's do something. Let's make it more entertaining, or let's find another outlet where we can find the entertaining fights until they get this fixed, until they can clear this wave, until there's a new style that comes out. I don't tell me, what you want is kickboxing, what you want is Muay Thai. No, I don't. I want MMA. I want to see guys throw up triangles. I want to see guys do ground and pound. I want to see ground game. What I don't want to see is people holding against the cage and killing time and preventing anything from happening in a fight. So That's my problem with it. This has been just an episode to rant, recapping 313. No, ranting about fucking shitty champions that we got going on right now. Ranting about the state of the UFC, where we're at right now. I don't know. I'm optimistic for 314. We don't have any possibility of a boring fight, I don't think, with Diego Lopez and Alexander Volkanovski. But 315, looking bleak. We got Valentina Shevchenko, who's been... She wrestles at least. She gets the takedown. She might hold you down, ground and pound, but she's at least on the ground. She's not holding you against the cage. It's something. It's more. It's an art. It's not just I'm strong and I got a gas tank and I'm going to hold you here, because you can't do anything about it, and it costs more energy to try to get out than it does to hold you here. So to Bilal Muhammad, Magomed Ankalaev, Merab Dvalishvili, hope you guys get more entertaining. Hope you guys get out of there. That's all I got for you today here with Blood and Beer. I'm Matt. Thanks for tuning in. I don't know, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought of this. Am I dead wrong? Are these guys actually entertaining and I'm just missing it? What am I missing? Because it's just not entertaining. Even when they do stuff that should be, they just do it in the most boring way. I'm going to stop talking shit. I need to. But I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say about it. This has just been me shitting on the state of the UFC. It's bleak. It's bleak, and it's rough to see an Alex Perreira lose. Kills that John Jones fight. I'm done ranting. I don't know. I'm gonna stop. There's so many things bad about what happened this weekend, from the pay-per-view to Ankalaev to it's all. We'll stop. That's all I got for you. By the way, last thing, not all I got for you, our bets last week. So I was down 394, got smoked. I'm still up 13. I'm still up 1373 year to date. Cody's down 325, so he's still up over 2,500 year to date. And then Noah, he is up 140. So he was the only positive. So he's up 140 year to date on our cards, because he just joined in last week. So that's how we're doing. I'm at 140% profits on the year. Cody's at over 250%. And then Noah, he's just at 14%. But week one, not bad, baby. Especially with a weird card like this one. So thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on the fights, on what we got coming up next. Next weekend, we're going to recap it this Wednesday. It's Vittori versus Dolidze 2, the fight nobody's been asking for. I'm Matt with Blood and Beer. This is it. I'm done. I'm hitting end record. I'm done.